Hello everybody, I am Charlie from Dr. Wen, and welcome along to a brand new Doctor Who YouTube video. As promised, I am back, and today I thought I'd do another ranking video. I know I didn't do any videos yesterday, but that's fine because I'm going to be doing two videos today. The first one is being another ranking video, where I will rank all 16 stories in New Who where the Master appears. So this is only New Who, I'm not including his numerous appearances in Classic Who, just the revived series since 2005. This includes 4 Masters: the Harry Saxon Master, the Missy Master, the O Master, and the Professor Yana Master. So yeah, feel free to subscribe to the channel if you enjoy my content, like this video if you enjoyed the video, and let's get into this video, and I hope you enjoy. So, in last place we have Empress of Mars. Missy doesn't really appear that much in this episode, but it does, contribute to her arc quite greatly because she kind of first turns good in this, and it prepares us quite well for the later episodes like the Eaters of Light, World Enough and Time, and The Doctor Falls. So yes, that is really good. However, I've given it a 67% out of 100. It's not the greatest story-wise. I think the Victorian colony on Mars is a bit stupid. The 12th Doctor and Bill are still brilliant, but I do really like her involvement in this, because it kind of proves she's good, with, her rescuing your Doctor and Bill from Mars. I actually really enjoyed that whole aspect of it. I think it was really good, and yes, it just contributes to her entire character arc really well. Next up, we have the episode after Empress of Mars. It's the Eaters of Light, with a 73%. Again, Missy's involvement is incredible in this. She basically turns good at the end inside the TARDIS, and it prepares us very well for World Enough and Time and The Doctor Falls. However, story-wise, it doesn't really work that well. I think the Eaters of Light, the villains themselves, are pretty good, and that whole beast is very good CGI and visual effects. It looks really nice. However, the characters aren't that great. I don't really like how the Bill is separated from the Doctor, although I do usually like that. However, Missy's involvement is still really good, but story-wise, I don't know, I just feels it falls apart quite a bit. Next up, in 14th place, we have In the Forest of the Night. This is a story from Series 8, actually. It's my least favourite story from Series 8, and Missy's involvement isn't really that much. It's just about her in heaven, I'm pretty sure. I don't really remember a whole lot about her involvement in this, but I'm pretty sure it's just her in the Nethersphere, collecting more people who are dead to be converted into Cybermen. It's really good because we get to see another evil side of her, but story-wise it isn't very good. I give it a 74%, so, it's not terrible, but story-wise it's not that great, to be honest. Still not bad though. Next up, we have Into the Dalek in 13th place. This is another episode that I don't really think works very well story-wise. It's got some really interesting concepts having this good Dalek, and they've got to go in and fix it, and I think that's really good. We've also got some really good action scenes, like chase scenes and, fights and things like that. It looks really good. However, I feel like the story kind of, is very clunky, and the shifts from one place to another aren't that great. It does feel like a bit of filler. However, we do get one of the crew member on the Aristotle dies, and they go to the Nethersphere with Missy there, saying welcome to heaven. It kind of confirms to us that this is a series-long arc, and it's not just a random sort of weird thing from Deep Breath. So yeah, there we go. It's not terrible, but the story isn't that great, and Missy's involvement is still really good. Next up, we have The Magicians Apprentice and The Witch's Familiar. Probably the only story on this list where I don't like Missy's involvement in it. She doesn't really need to be there, and she actually drags this episode down for me. She's still a great master, don't get me wrong, but I feel like she wouldn't have, if she hadn't have been there, we'd have more time with the Doctor and Davros and Clara, rather than Missy as well. However, her interactions with Clara are really good, and story-wise it's very good. We have that really good conversation between the Doctor and Davros, and then Davros betrays the Doctor, and I think it works incredibly well story-wise, but Missy's involvement I'm not actually that keen on, so it's kind of the opposite of these previous episodes. It's still brilliant though. I gave it an 85%, so yes, very good. Next up, we have The Caretaker. This is another Series 8 story, and I've given it an 86%. This is a very good story. Lots of people really don't like it, and even reaches their bottom 10 episodes. I really disagree. I like how the Doctor's kind of intruding on Clara's life instead of the other way around, and yeah, it's really good. It develops Danny's arc quite a lot as well, with him and Clara and the Doctor bouncing off each other brilliantly. It's also the episode where Danny finds out about Clara's adventures with the Doctor, but in terms of Missy's involvement, it's okay. I think it's just someone else who dies and goes to heaven. It's not really, much there's not really much to it. It's just kind of another thing with a series-long arc. However, it's a very, very good story, and I really enjoy it. I think it's very, very underrated. Okay, next up we have Utopia, The Sound of Drums, and Last of the Time Lords. This, in my opinion, is the only three-parter in New Who and in Doctor Who ever, except maybe for a couple of Classic Who episodes, like Planet of Giants, but I'm talking just about New Who here. This was at the end of the third series of New Who, and I give it an 89%. It might be a tiny bit overrated, in my opinion. I think this is my least favourite version of John Simm's Master. I think he gets better and better, like he's even better in The End of Time, and he's much, much better in World Enough and Time and The Doctor Falls. However, this is still a very good story. We have Martha travelling the world, we have Professor Yana, who is Derek Jacobi was actually a brilliant master, by the way. I actually really enjoyed his portrayal of him, and I'm glad he did some more Big Finish stuff. Utopia, the episode itself isn't that great, but I really like The Sound of Drums, and Last of the Time Lords is still very, very good. Yeah, it's just a really good story with a Toclafane from Future Earth. It's really, really cool, and yeah, I really enjoy the story. It's very, very good. However, maybe a tiny bit overrated, especially the episode Utopia. Next up, in 9th place, we have Deep Breath, the 12th Doctor's very first story and Missy's very first story. I give it a 90%. It's very, very good. It's a bit of a silly episode. We have the dinosaur in, Victorian London. We have Half-Face Man, who is quite a silly but very good villain in my opinion. However, Missy is very good in this. It's Half-Face Man is trying to reach the Promised Land, and at the end we find him in this garden, which was actually used to film an episode previously, an 11th Doctor episode, called The Girl Who Waited, and we find Missy there, who basically says, "Hello, I'm Missy, welcome to heaven," or the Nethersphere, or something, and it just sets up this really good series-long arc we've got in Series 8, incredibly well, so yeah, got to give it credit for that. It's really, really good at setting up the 12th Doctor, Missy, and Series 8's arc. It's a very, very good story. Next up, we have 8th place, which is The End of Time. I've given this a 92%. Mainly, it's a bit weird. I'm not that keen on part 1. I gave that an 8.5. However, well, an 85%, sorry. But part 2 I gave a 99%, so it's much, much different. It's a really good ending to the 10th Doctor's era, which I actually really, really enjoyed. However, it did have some clunkers, but still, this made up for it so much. I prefer the new version of the Master in this, and that whole thing with the Time Lords going onto Earth. That was really, really cool. Brilliant acting from both David Tennant and Bernard Cribbins, who played Wilfred Mott in this. He's one of my favourite companions of Doctor Who. Yeah, this was just such a really, really good story, and I really enjoyed it. It was a great end to the 10th Doctor's brilliant era. Next up, in 7th place, we have Spyfall, which I've given a 9.3. This was a two-parter called Spyfall Part 1 and Spyfall Part 2 at the start of Series 12. It's one of the more recent stories, and it's really, really good. I think it's very underrated. The Kasavin and the Master are both brilliant villains. We have that really, really good reveal of the Master, which was incredible, by the way. I honestly really wasn't expecting it. This is the great introduction to my favourite Master. I prefer Part 2, to be honest, where the Master's chasing your Doctor through time, or the other way around, I can't quite remember. I think that was really, really good, and I can't wait to rewatch this. At the moment, I'm on Series 11, but I will get to this one soon, and I'm probably going to love it even more. Next up, in 6th place, we have Flatline. This was another Series 8 story, which only had Missy for a brief amount of time. I'm pretty sure it's just her in the Nethersphere doing something, like talking to other Nethersphere people, or welcoming someone else to the Nethersphere. In general, it's a very good story. I give it a 93% as, again. It's my second favourite story in Series 8 of Doctor Who, and yeah, it's such a good episode. It's really, really good. We have Clara kind of being your Doctor, because the Doctor's trapped in the tiny TARDIS, and yes, it's a very, very funny story. Some great villains. They're like two-dimensional, boneless creatures. They're really, really good. And yeah, Missy's involvement isn't too much, but yeah, she does appear, so I've kind of got to include it. Next up, in 5th place, we have Ascension of the Cybermen and the Timeless Children, a very controversial episode of Doctor Who. In general, I really enjoyed it. I definitely preferred Ascension of the Cybermen, which I gave a 96%, to the Timeless Children, which I gave a 92%, meaning the average is 94%. But yeah, I really enjoyed both of these stories, actually. Ascension of the Cybermen is a really, really good episode. We have some really, really good action sequences with the Cybermen, those future humans, the Doctor and her companions. They're all really good. And we have the cyber ship where there's like millions of Cybermen marching out. That was a brilliant scene. And the Timeless Children twist isn't my favourite twist ever. However, I still think it does kind of make a bit of sense, to be honest. And I don't really see the hate for that episode in general. I think Ascension of the Cybermen is kind of overshadowed by the Timeless Children a bit, so that's probably why it's not very well liked, because it's clumped together with the Timeless Children, which I don't really get the hate for, because I still really, really like. Next up, in 4th place, we have The Lie of the Land, which, with another 94%. This is part 3 of the Monk trilogy, and it's where the Doctor, Bill and Nardole actually consult Missy in the vault underneath the university for help, which he never really had to do before. In Extremists, it was kind of revealed that it was Missy in the vault, but we'd never actually seen her, in present day. We just kind of saw her in the past when the Doctor was told to execute her and didn't. So, yeah, I really, really like that. It's a really good concept as well, the monks kind of filling the world with propaganda, telling everyone they've been there for years and actually they haven't. Yeah, it's a really, really good story. I think it gets a lot of hate and is a really, really underrated story, and that 12th Doctor's fake regeneration, was incredible as well. Next up, in 3rd place, we have a finale, actually, Dark Water and Death in Heaven. This was the finale to Series 8, and basically involved Missy raising an army of the Cybermen who were made from dead bodies. It was a very, very dark and morbid episode, and I loved it. It was so, so good. We have that really sad scenes with Danny dying and becoming a Cyberman, and then Clara has to turn off his emotional inhibitor. It's so, so sad, all of it. It's just... I really like Unit's involvement as well. I think Unit did a very good part in this, as we haven't really seen them since Series 7A in 2012, so it's nice to see them return as well. Missy is brilliant in this, as always. We kind of see her to a full extent as kind of this evil Mary Poppins. It's so, so good, honestly. I really like this story. It's very, very good, and one of the best finales ever of Doctor Who. In 2nd place, we have a Series 10 story known as Extremists. This is another episode in the 3-part Monk trilogy, and is the first part. In this one, we don't exactly see her in present day. We see her basically being, held captive, and these people who are, are trying to get the Doctor to execute her. Eventually he arrives, but doesn't, and he just kind of fakes it instead, and then he guards Missy's alive body in this vault for 1,000 years, and basically gives us this kind of context of what's been going on, what's in the vault, and it's revealed to be Missy, which was honestly quite a shock for me. I think it would be like this, just like an army of Cybermen or Daleks or something, but no, it's Missy, which I honestly wasn't expecting her to make a return. She hadn't really been in Doctor Who since the start of Series 9, so I kind of thought her kind of overall arc was over, but I was wrong. This is a really, really good story. The whole idea of the Shadow World is brilliant, and yes, it's a very, very good story, and it's a perfect start to the Monk trilogy. Definitely my favourite in this series. In 1st place, we have the Series 10 finale, World Enough and Time and the Doctor Falls. I don't have much longer to talk about this because, well, I've nearly, exceeded 15 minutes. However, I'm still going to just say how much I love this story. I've given it an 100%. It's my favourite story of all time, especially The Doctor Falls, which I actually prefer to World Enough and Time. We have the Multi-Master story, which is brilliant. We have the Mondasian Cybermen, which are incredible, teaming together with the new generation Cybermen. The two Masters are brilliant. We have the Doctor's awesome speech. We have Bill as a Cyberman. This story has everything. It's so, so good, and yeah, that's why it is my favourite episode of all time. So I hope you've enjoyed this video, everybody. Like I said, feel free to subscribe to the channel and like this video, and next time. So tomorrow later today I'm going to be reviewing the 3rd Doctor story, The Mind of Evil. So I will see you then, and goodbye.